Today we have another Good Form Sports Cards channel first. We're ripping junk wax today. From time to time on the collections I acquire or sell on consignment, I encounter some junk wax that just makes more sense to open than it does to try to sell and ship it. And today that's the case. Today is part 1 of the junk wax pack opening. I'll put chapters in the video in case you prefer to skip a particular box or certain arrangement of packs or whatnot. Thanks so much for being here today. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, YouTube? It's Ian back here with another video, and it is a channel first for us today. I've got some junk wax in front of me here. We haven't quite reached the status of Pac-Man yet, but we are going to try some pack openings on the channel here and see how it goes. These came with a couple collections that I had acquired, so they're just part of the collection. Nothing terribly valuable, as you'll see, but some fun nostalgia cards here. Maybe some one-off inserts or whatnot. We got a lot to rip through here. It's going to be a lot of bulk cards. So we're going to jump into the first box here. I'm sure all of us around my age had seen these at one point. We've got the 92 Classic Draft Pics set. It says 10 cards per pack, 100 in total. Looks like there's also a limited production foil stamp cards here, so I'm not sure if those are going to add a lot of value to it or not, but we will get these out here and we'll try to make quick work of it. I'm sure it's not going to be the most awesome of cards, but we'll see some nostalgic names in here, I'm sure. Bricked a little bit here. Not too bad, but we'll see. Maybe there'll be somebody that's a gem. Jason Hansen, he was a good NFL player for a while. I don't think these cards are going to be worth a ton, but we may find some. Dale Carter was a good player for a few years. Trying to move through these quickly. Got a lot to open. And I'll set some of the cards that might be worth a little bit off to the side. I don't know if we're going to get too many hits, so to speak, here, but we're evidently looking for the foil stamped cards. Still kind of cool. I mean, these have been sealed away for 30 years. Hard to think that it's been that long that these are packaged, but I imagine, let's see, 92. If these are draft picks, we're probably going to see, I would guess, people like Jerome Bettis. Here we've got back-to-back. This was a Heisman Trophy card. Not sure that that's worth anything, but that'd be a terrible breaker. Not even opening the packs in view there. All right, Johnny Mitchell. So these must be the exclusive foil cards, I'm assuming. Looks like this LP promo card. We will. Yep, so he's number 10 of 10 on the foil. So they said there's 10 foil cards to look out for. That was one of them. Hopefully one of them's a bigger name. Robert Porcher was a good Lions player for a few years there. If I remember right, though, the 92, I think it was the 92 draft class was like legendary bad. I think that was the, nothing against those guys, but I think it was like the David Klingler draft. Ty Detmer. Ty Detmer was a beast in college. He used to have all kinds of D1 records for a while. QB card there. So I imagine this box is probably cost more to ship than it would be to buy. So I don't expect that we're going to have any huge hits out of here, but it's kind of fun to look through here, see some of the old names. Get the cover card here, or checklist. Quentin Coriat was a high pick for, I believe, the Colts. Sean Gilbert also high draft pick. I don't know why I'm setting these checklists aside, but that reminds me of the old wild cards a little bit. But while I'm going through these, you can see in front of me here, we got some old hoops cards. We've got some NFL Pro Set cards, and some of those had some like prism inserts in there and stuff. So I don't know if they're super high value, but should be pretty high grade, I would think, as long as they're not stuck to each other, so to speak. Here's David Klingler as we speak. Pretty highly touted guy in his day. Didn't work out. Went to a pretty bad Bengals team and just wasn't meant to be. Then some of these loose packs to the left, I'm not even sure. Like, some of those are like racing cards. Some of them are baseball. Some of them are like non-sports. It's just kind of all over the place. So I don't know, if you see something in there that I kind of just graze over, leave a comment, let me know if there's something in there that's particularly good. I don't know. It looks like a lot of just cheap packs, to be honest, but that's some of that old unsuspecting stuff is what sneaks up on you, you know? All right. So far, no big names here at all. This box just might automatically beat us. Yeah, I'm remembering that there was a draft class in there that was really bad in the early 90s, and I think this might be it, which for us would be a bummer, but also good to open with it because you don't want to peak too early. All right. We're still looking for another foil card here, and it looks like, I think, the box said 100 cards and all. I'm thinking it must be 100 cards for the set. So I'm sure we're starting to see some duplicates in here. I haven't seen anybody that's particularly awesome, which Darren Woodson was pretty good in his day. That one's got a ding corner, so I'm not going to set that one aside. Tommy Maddox, he was in the league a while. The nice part about these old basketball cards, we're going to see some Jordans, and I think in that hoops one we'll see some Team USA. See the Barcelona team, I believe. So that should be pretty cool seeing some of that. And those are not particularly valuable. I mean, even in a PSA 10, the non-Jordan, I should say, those PSA 10s that for the Team USA set are very popular, and they're going for like 30, 40 bucks. So it's bigger. You're barely adding value grading them at that point. You're almost better off just buying the cards if you want to build the set. Looks like we're about halfway through this box, which is nice. Rip through this one in record time, hopefully. But I still enjoy going through ripping packs regardless. I mean, obviously you like the big hits, but I like going through some of these cards from back in the day. It brings back some memories playing with these guys on the early Maddens and even the Tecmo Bowls. I remember some of their names from there. Here's Darren Woodson again. We'll set him over here. Fortunately, it looks like some of these packs were on the side of the box that maybe took a little bit of a ding. So some of the corners aren't ideal. So that's part of the beauty of finding a gem 10. Like, it's not, pack fresh doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get a gem. You need a card that it starts at the factory and survives all the way to the end user who's going to grade it. That's part of what makes the hunt fun for me, is you need a card to basically start out at the factory, make it through process of just getting cut, centered, and the quality being high there, have it survive packaging, have it survive shipping, distribution, and then whenever it gets open, I mean, it could be, wax could be moved from place to place. And eventually, when it gets ripped from the pack, you know, is the person that ripped it going to take care of it? Are they going to slide it into a penny sleeve that ultimately kind of nicks it on the way in and all that good stuff? So, I mean, you need everything to go right. And a Gem 10 is sometimes you kind of lose the, kind of fail to remember that as part of the process, you know what I'm saying? Is Desmond Howard, see, he's got a ding up top if you can see that. But he was pretty hyped in his day as well. But a lot of times people forget that when you talk about gem cards. They kind of take it for granted that you rip a pack and it's going to be a gem, and that's just not the case. You need so many things to go right to get a gem, and that's why they're priced appropriately, especially on some of this old stuff. It's just so, you know, they were not cared for, and the quality control was not necessarily good either. So, and it kind of wasn't meant to be. There wasn't really grading, and if there was grading at this time, it was very much in its early state, not very popular. Looking for another one of those foil cards here, just to make it somewhat exciting. They're pretty rough box here, especially back then when none of these draft picks hit. That's pretty boring. But I'll chapter the boxes out too. So if you're not into the classics, you know, gotta sit through this. You can just chap your head to the next box, and I don't blame you one bit for doing it. I'm kind of, oh, Chester McLaughlin, we haven't seen him yet. But yeah, it's kind of move some of this base out of the way here. Can get monotonous when there's a 100-card set and you're ripping 30-some 10-card packs. It's going to tell you you're going to see a lot of duplicates. And it is what it is, but it's about for me, it's just about ripping packs. Sometimes you just, the act of it, you know, you just got to get it out of your system. And Johnny Mitchell, another Jets tight end. The Jets love drafting tight ends, and I think you would be shocked. I'll put something up on the screen here, but there's some records you see that are just so like unbelievable. You're just thinking, how can that be? But for as long as the Jets have been around, since the 60s, or probably before that if you count the Titans, and if you look at their all-time tight end receiving stats, they're almost incredible, like incredibly putrid. If you think with them taking high draft picks on like Anthony Becht and players like that, you know, even recently like Jason Morrow, drawing a blank, Dustin Keller. They didn't draft him particularly high, but Kenny Yeboah had a lot of good athletics. Coming out of college, he was he scored just off the charts. I think he went undrafted, but they picked him up like literally the day after the draft. He might still be on the practice squad, or he might have moved on to another team, but just you see all these guys, and Edgar Bennett had a nice career too. These guys just don't pan out for whatever reason. The Jets just, no matter who they have as a quarterback or a coordinator or a head coach or whatever the situation is there, it seems like they just consistently have blocking tight ends that just are used sparingly. And it really is something. It's just, you know, by now I would have put those stats up on the screen. You're going to see it for yourself, but like their all-time single season and all-time career leaders are just embarrassingly bad. The first time they get somebody that's like decent, they're just going to break every record, at least team record. So they're pretty... I don't like to put a lot of those foils in here, which that's fine. I don't expect there to be like one per pack or anything, but ooh, there's some bricking. So when I talk about bricking, this is a good example right here. You see how pulling them apart right here, you can see that like the kind of frosting or that like snow. Some of that black actually pulled off and stuck to the card behind it. So unfortunate. Ooh, that's kind of nice. So we got the exclusive, and this is a Dez. We're going to try to see if we can get him to separate without any bricking. It sounds like I can hear him sticking a little bit. That's unfortunate. Doesn't seem like it was too bad. Hopefully there was no actual transfer, but yeah, that's cool. The exclusive Dez. But yeah, that bricking can be bad on these old cards. That's the unfortunate part about these UV, or the gloss back then, is it just stuck really bad. And some of them stuck really bad in real time. It wasn't even because they sat long. I remember some of the old Topps cards, and they started to use UV in like 94, 95, somewhere in there. Those cards would come out of the pack like just absolutely laminated to each other. Another Jason Hansen. I think he's still in the top 25 all-time scorers in the NFL. So he's, I'm not going to say he's a sneaky buy or anything like that. He's definitely probably not going to sell very well, but he's a little bit of a sleeper. It's something that, if you're looking to add a bargain all-timer into your collection, he might be a good player. He's got some, I think he's got like an old pro set from those years and stuff like that, where not particularly valuable at all, or hard to acquire at all. So Edgar Bennett. Sorry, I have to keep turning these sideways. These last few were really stuck. But sucks is I can't just blast through these left to right. And hopefully on some of these newer, or these alternate cards, they had the old paper stock, and I'll be able to go through those a lot faster. These are really, I don't think Detmer would be considered a hit, but I'm going to put him over there. He was a big-time QB at BYU in his day. Carl Pickens, hadn't seen him. He had a couple nice years with Cincinnati, with Klingler and company. He was an okay receiver. Just really bad teams. And just a few packs left here, so we're getting there. Ooh, you hear that? That thing's really welded together, a big stack of them. Wow. All right, so we're just about through these here. And just, if you're ever thinking about a nostalgic box and you went to a card shop and you're wondering what to buy, oh, here we go. Here's a duplicate of the first foil card we got. That may be the last foil we hit in here, but at least we got probably the best one. I can't imagine there's a better one than the Desmond Howard. But yeah, if you're thinking about going and buying an old box and aren't sure where to start, you can at least figure I saved you probably $5-10 and you probably don't want to buy one of these. There just doesn't seem to, I don't know how you'd recover your value even buying it at $5 unless you got one of those foil hits that happen to be good. I mean, maybe that Desmond Howard's better than I think it is, but I imagine it's just it's such a cheap product. It's probably a few dollars. You have to find somebody that was really into, a big Michigan fan or big into his college days, that would really want that card. All right. Leon Cersei was a good lineman. We got a few players that are solid in here, just no superstars, so to speak. And unfortunately, it's all the draft class, so we're not going to get any of the stars that were in the league at that time, which is unfortunate because you'd be talking about like second-year Favre. You'd be looking at, of course, like Marino, Joe Montana still in the league, Barry, Emmett. You would have had Jerry Rice. I mean, you would have had the best of the best playing at this time. So it's unfortunate that it's just the draft picks, but that's okay. A few packs left here. So Here's another Dez. Again, it's still ding in the top corner again, but we'll see. Sometimes these are more of like almost like it got kind of hit on the top. They're kind of rolled. So sometimes when you put them in cards like that, when you put them in the card saver ones, if you kind of get them tighter along the edge or along the bottom where the corner is rounded in the holder and it pinches a little tight down there, sometimes you can get those weird corner dings to just come out on their own without really doing anything to the card. You just put it under, I wouldn't say compression, but you put it under just a little more pressure under the holder and it tends to flatten it a little bit. It takes that shape that it's developed out of there. Come on. The only reason I'm sitting here putting the time in to look at all those is I'm like trying to see if there's one more foil stuck in there. I don't know how many you get per box. It kind of says just look for them. I'm not sure what the odds are or if they even posted them back in the day, but okay. Most of these we got through unscathed, though they're not too damaged. There's bricking on that one that was pretty bad, especially with it being like a black checklist. Makes it very apparent where you can see it. Last pack, 20 minutes of fun here. All right, another Darren Woodson. This one's got extra bricking on it too. Makes me think there's another one of those gold cards in here. Those packs seem to be the ones that had the bricking more than anything. Okay. One more Tommy Maddox, and that has concluded that box. And we are glad to be out of the way with that one. There is nowhere to go but up, I will tell you that. So we get some of this base off to the side. We can, I guess, call these hits for that box, probably. So what I'll do is maybe rip through a couple of these basketball cards, then maybe we'll take a few of these randoms over here. I'm not even sure what they are, but we'll just pinch a few off of the side. So here we've got Hot Pics Supreme Court. Features jump at the chance game. It must be something else in there. It says these are star picks first. Collect all 90 cards. These are pro set prospects from 92. So I'm trying to think of who would have been, if you're a prospect in 92, would this be the people that were drafted in 93? Are we gonna get like, or are we gonna get like Shaq in here maybe? Maybe Garnett? I'm not really sure. You can see these have moved around in here a little bit, so we'll see what kind of condition these are in. Hopefully good shape. They're kind of all loosely moving around in here, and nice thing about these old boxes, it's good and bad. It's fun for the pack ripper in you. It's bad for if you're trying to rip product on a video like this. It's hard to just rip through it quick because there's so many. But we'll get these started right here. Get the little stack of packs. And hopefully these aren't as stuck as the last ones. These are kind of not necessarily foil, but kind of that in-between stuff. Okay, good. These do not seem to be stuck together, but they do have a little bit of a finish to them. All right, so I'm trying to see where are the names at on these. Okay, Reggie Smith. Let's see if any of these guys even made the league. There's a Robert Horry. Big Shot Bob. Looks like we signed up for some games. Probably expired. We got Harold Miner, Baby Jordan. And Alfonso Ellis. Alfonso Ellis was a good player. He's pretty solid. All right, so it looks like we are getting the 92 class, which should have Shaq in here, I think. Got a Bobby Knight. That's cool. Matt Geiger, Georgia Tech. All right. Walt Williams, and we got Todd Day as a baseball player. Bryant Sith, he was in the league a while. Ho Grant. Anthony Peeler, he was in the league for a little bit. Played for the Lakers. This is just a 90 card set, I think it says. So we're probably going to see some duplicates in here as well. It'd be kind of cool if we hit some more collegiate coaches. That was cool to see like Bobby Knight in here. Clarence Witherspoon. He was a dog in NBA Live 95. I liked him. All right. Another application form. All right. So yeah, I acquired all these cards in a collection that I had acquired, and it's just something where it's probably funner for me to rip it than to try to sell it. I maybe could sell it in bulk and get $20 or $30, but I feel like it's better just to have the experience and, you know, maybe some footage, get a unique video if you want to call it that as well. But all right. I don't know if there's any hits in here. I wonder if there's any special foil. It didn't look like there's anything on the front. It looks like there's like all these sweepstakes at the time where you could enter to win or whatever it was, but Matt Fish. Popeye Jones, he's in the league for a little bit. All right. And I'm pretty sure Shaq's rookie year is 92, but maybe, I don't know, NBA has like the split year product, so maybe we're a half year away from getting Shaq, and if it's before him, we're trying to think of what draft class was before him, but here's Anthony Peeler again. Alfonso Ellis. But so far, it seems like we're starting to see a lot of repeats. So it's starting to seem like Ho Grant and Bobby Knight and Harold Miner might be the hits here. Trying to think of like what year like Christian Laettner was and those guys. Maybe he was a year before this. Not sure. Thunder Dan Marley. Clarence Witherspoon as a kid. For a minute I thought that was Mark Price, but he was a rookie a little bit before this. Hubert Davis. First time we seen him, he would have been on my Knicks teams that went into the Eastern Conference Finals back-to-back years shortly after this. Coach K, that's cool. Malik Sealy. Marcellonis, he was a good player. Ooh, I see. I don't know why I thought I saw Glenn Rice. Glenn Rice was he was a good player for a while too. Kendall Gill, he was definitely a good player for a while. There's still a few in here we haven't seen. Get that base out of the way. Oh. Come on. Oliver Miller. Old Grant again. Gugliotta, he was a decent player for a while, and a Timberwolf. So I watched him. There's Laettner. Okay, so it was this class. Okay. We just hadn't seen everybody yet. Doug Christie, longtime King. Been around the league too. John Barry. So there's a lot of guys that hung around as really good role players in this set, but so far I haven't seen too many bona fide studs. Not too many superstars. That's okay. Oh my gosh. These do not want to tear open. Okay. Here's Laettner. Alfonso Ellis. There's Marley again. Checklist, haven't seen that yet. All right. Harold Meyer again. I'm pretty pleased with these, with the packaging at least. The packaging, they're almost like vacuum sealed. They're very tight. And the cards are not stuck together at all. It's pretty, oh, Vlade Divac. He's a good player, but he may have started the legacy of flopping. He was one of the early floppers for sure. Mr. Vlade Divac. Drazen. Haven't seen Drazen yet. That's a cool card. This pack's thin. There's nothing in it. Okay. It's weird. It's like those two packs that were at the bottom are like turned sideways and they're like partial. It's very strange. I don't know how that works, but be bummed if you were buying wax back in the day and got stuck with that, I assume. Moving right along here, just try to rip through these last little bits, and then I promise these should get better. So if these are too boring for you, I don't blame you one bit. Like I'm saying, I will chapter off each box. So if there's a box that is just too dusty and too low energy, by all means, go ahead and skip ahead. I wouldn't blame you a bit, but I think it's worth sticking around to check out some of these other boxes. I'm pretty intrigued by those, to be honest with you. Getting the draft stuff out of the way is kind of the priority, is get it out of the way. I feel like if I was ripping those cards first for a half an hour and then had to finish with these, I would be putting myself to sleep. So, all right. They really like this Todd Day baseball card. There's Vlade again. Another Bobby Knight. We got Bobby Knight and Coach K so far. I don't know if there's any other coaches in here or if those were the guys that maybe went to the finals that year and that's the only people that got cards. I'm not really sure. They're probably definitely the most prominent coaches, but I think Dean Smith would have still been coaching Carolina around this time, and there have been a couple big college coaches they could have worked in here, so. Hopefully there's more. I'm kind of into those cards, and sometimes those ones are sneaky. It's like the old Bill Belichick autos from Proline. You would have never thought that those at the time were going to amount to anything. You know, they might be the best auto in the set. There's Bobby again. Gugliotta. I think every one of these guys I'm going through, I can hear Marv Albert. Thunder Dan Marley. Marcellonis. For sure, Marv Albert. This grew up on hoops. Marv. All right. It's hard to explain too, because obviously it's just audio video for you, but these cards definitely have like an old distinct smell to them too. And it's just hard to explain, but here's Robert Ory again. Sprewell. I don't think we've seen Spree yet. Stack's getting down there. We're getting there, guys. I don't think I've seen this card yet. David Kaplan. Not sure how that's relevant, and if I'm supposed to know him and should and don't. I'm sorry, but this is not who I thought it was. I think I misread the name before. I think the gentleman I pulled before was definitely not Drazen, and I'm almost certain of it because I think his draft class was like 2 years before this. So I will catch that in editing, but I don't think there's a Drazen in this set. So it happens when you're trying to read through the through the recording device here. Sometimes it just objects are not what they appear. All right, Leak Sealy, another Timberwolf, RIP. Mr. Kaplan again. Goods. For those on the video here that never got the chance to watch early 90s Timberwolves hoops, the teams were not particularly good, which should not surprise you, but Kevin Harlan used to do our local games here. So before it was FS1, I can't remember what it was called. It might have just been FSN, maybe? I don't remember what it was called, but it was where the Timberwolves games were. And we had a young Kevin Harlan with Trent Tucker, and it was actually a really good duo. I missed them a lot. That was probably like peak Wolves announcing for me. Sean Rooks, I don't think we saw him, speaking of Wolves. But yeah, he was awesome. And he had high energy then, as you can imagine. It was actually, I feel like he's really dialed it back as he's moved up. I think he's got like maybe be a little more cognizant of his, I don't want to say losing his cool, but like he used to just go absolutely nuts. And he was super fun to watch. He had like the Timberwolves team like right when they got Marbury and Garnett, and we still had Gugliotta, who was really solid. Like he wasn't a great player, but he was the best player on a bad team, we'll just say that. And that duo was awesome. I'll see if I can throw some audio of them in, but like Trent was the ex-NBA player who would kind of bring some of that little knowledge of breaking the game down and talking about what's going on. And then you had Harlan, was just high energy. He was fun. And I'm not sure what happened to Trent as far as his announcing went, but we all know Harlan has gone on to do football and all kinds of other stuff, and he's still, I think he does hoops still, so. I know one of his earlier gigs was Minnesota Timberwolves on FSN. I think that's what it was. No, because that's Fox Sports North now. I don't remember what it was back then. I'll have to do some research during editing here and see if I can't throw what it was called. And it was basically what it was before it was FSN. All right, last few packs. Thank goodness for that, huh? Grant, we haven't seen him in a while. Saw him a lot early on, and then not so much lately. But somehow we had like two like the worst draft classes like back to back with football and basketball here. My goodness, like we just didn't have a lot of star power in these first few boxes. I apologize for that. I don't really kind of went into this blind. I didn't really research who I'm going to pull. I just pulled them out of the boxes, and I was like, I need to find final disposition for these wax boxes. I'm not going to sell them, and just open them, see if I could get anything out of here, maybe a gradable Jordan or Larry Bird or something, and make it worth worth its time there. But otherwise, just entertainment purposes, I like ripping packs, and this old stuff is fun to me. Like if I saw this at a garage sale for $30, I'd absolutely buy it just so I could rip it. Sorry, it's just a guilty habit, but I think a lot of us collectors, or especially people that have been in it for the same era as me, this is kind of what we grew up on, is just getting getting some cheap packs and knowing you're probably not going to get anything above $3 and you're okay with it. All right, last one. And we'll get another Coach K. I think he seems to be the best card, at least that I've seen. Spree. All right, as promised, we'll grab a couple of randoms here. We'll just pull them right off the front. See what we've got here. Looks like some kind of $1 sticker cards or whatever at least they were at the time. I don't know what these are. Nick Swisher on the Yankees. Casey Blake. We got some kind of team stickers. Eric Hosmer, Melvin Mora. The foil team stickers are kind of cool. If you get like a foil parallel of a player or something. I don't know if that's how it works or what's in here. We'll have to see. All right. Daniel Murphy, Escobar. So it looks like they're always team foil. So we're going to have to try to find. So Pudge. Looks like we've got a Verlander, which I'm not sure what year these are. Let's take a look here. 2011, so it's not anywhere near Verlander's rookie. So 2011, we'd be looking at maybe, I think that would have been Chris Bryant, I think, but he's not doing so well right now. But at that time, he would have been pretty decent. Johnny Damon. Last of these sticker cards here. I'm trying to think of who else was in 2011. Was it like, is that the year like Chris Sale and Scherzer, or Scherzer 08? I don't know. Johan, my guy. Love Johan. Mark Reynolds, Kubel, Soriano. All right, go through those sticker guys there. Here we've got a Happy Days pack. I don't even know what in the world that is, but we're gonna find out. So it looks like it's just kind of Happy Days picture cards. Not sure what year this is. 1998, so I don't know. I'll have to do some research, see if anything in this set is worth something. I imagine like the Fonz and people like that are probably worth a little bit. It's on some thicker stock. It's not too bad of a set, really. Here we've got the Hunchback of Notre Dame trading cards. So, I mean, like I said, there is literally like just random stuff in these collections that I just accumulate. And I figured I would save them for a video sometime. So here we go. I don't know enough about this movie to even be dangerous, so I'm just going to show the cards. I couldn't tell you if they're good or bad. This one's on some like, oh, it's a puzzle. This is a puzzle card. Coin cards. Imagine there's, okay, here's another puzzle. So I imagine there's some collectors out here that really probably want these in good condition, maybe. All right, the last of the random packs, it's the 96 Indy 500 trading cards. I don't know if this is, I don't know if the old F1 is anything like the new F1 cards, but Carlos Guerrero, I'm trying to think of who would have been big at this time. Bobby Rahal, there we go. It's a big name from back then. Michael Andretti, I think Mario was still racing in the 90s. Scott Pruitt. Walter Payton. That's pretty cool. Okay. And that concludes the first half of the pack opening. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe so you get notifications for when part 2 comes up. And you can watch me rip the last 3 boxes and loose packs to see what we get.